Hey everybody, it is LSID932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm here with Little Black Book 91 for our weekly recap of Married at First Sight Australia. This is week 6, y'all. Like episode 20 something. I know we're in the 20s already, and that is wild to believe. Hey Kojo, what you saying?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. Listen, I'm looking forward to obviously discussing Married at First Sight Australia. It's going to be an interesting conversation. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, this week was the retreat. And if you are
Mm.
not a regular viewer of Married at First Sight Australia, they take all the couples to a retreat. And the retreat is either retreat or surrender. Like my recap said, it is either going to be very, very good for some or very bad for others. So this week saw couples get together. They saw couples not so much fighting each other, but with each other against other couples. And last Married at First Sight, we saw that the ladies at the retreat had the heaviest interaction. It was no different this year. What were your thoughts just generally on the retreat?
Yeah, no, it was a very interesting retreat. I think, I think we got to see Lauren and Clint obviously kind of separate themselves. They kind of did a us versus them. Obviously, information was passed back and forth as well. I think some things got found out that need to be found out in regards to certain things. I also want to say, I think, Lauren's got away with a big one here. If Lauren's behavior was a man, the first word that will come out, because it did come out for Elliot, they're narcissistic. These are the kind of men that destroy people, women, da 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 da. But Lauren got caught in a lie. She actually did tell the girls that she has no spark, no connection, doesn't like Clint pretty much, right? Went back to Clint and told him, "Oh no, I said, why would I say those things? I'm here with you, aren't I?" Those are lying traits and gaslighting traits, right? And it would easily be labeled a narcissistic kind of person. And I think this is really an important, of course, this is edited, so we know, but I think it's a really important show as well in terms of how quickly that men can get labeled, and rightly so, because Elliot was looking was looking crazy at the point at the time, right? But I think he's been vindicated in some sort of sense of the word. I mean, his behaviors are still his behaviors, but in some sense of the word, I feel like he's been vindicated because Lauren's behavior is scary, bro. It's scary. You know what I mean? It's scary. And that's not including Veronica either. That was later on, but hey.
So let's tackle the couples the way that the experts tackled them, couple by couple. And as you started, we will start with Lauren and Clint. With Lauren and Clint, y'all, this week we had mm, Lauren basically told the ladies they were acting out of line. They asked her about her relationship, as everyone does on the show. They were asking her about the connection with Clint. She said there's none there really, but she wasn't giving them a lot. But Jamie and Athena, they kept pushing, asking, like, girl, talk about it. And from the hens party, which is the bachelorette party, Lauren was not feeling Jamie. She said she was low class, and she kept on saying that. She called the ladies names. She said it was a circus. She called them baboons, and it just didn't really feel right. At the same time, two of the ladies saw Lauren leave and decided to be Switzerland and say, okay, Lauren, we understand you were, we're coming on strong, but they weren't holding Lauren accountable for the name calling that she made. So I want to get into like the retreat, the ladies, and then Lauren and Clint's reaction was just odd. They came back and decided not to go to the dinner party at all. They decided to not come and stay for the commitment ceremony. They talked to the experts and they walked right out. So, what were your thoughts on Lauren and Clint? And while you do that, I will just add our other guests while you're talking, Kojo.
Yeah, no, I think obviously with Lauren and Clint, first and foremost, Clint proved Lauren's point. He's got no back. He's not regulate. He's not. He's got no boundaries. Okay. He's not a strong individual. He doesn't need to be an alpha. He needs to have some balls. And that's a simple case. And of course, I've been there, like I said. So that's why I'm probably a bit more harsh on him. I need Clint to wake up and smell the Kenko coffee and stop swinging that golf club and start getting himself into on some shape. Because honestly, and listen, he doesn't see everything that's happening, but he will see how Lauren has treated him, and the fact that he could not answer the question on the couch about what he really wanted, and the fact that Lauren's letting him know what she really wanted, that it wasn't really him, and he's still trying to play it off like he's a nice guy. That's the problem. That's the truest problem that you've got. You've got your biggest issue there. And I know we talk about, obviously, he's just a nice guy. That's the problem. You're a nice guy. You need to start being good, stop being nice. Because nice, really, honestly, is manipulative, and it's oftentimes not your truest statement and not your truest stand. And that is what's unattractive about Clint. Now, of course, he could have found another woman and she probably would be okay with it. But the reality is he's been exposed and he's on the show. And he hasn't got a girl, and that's why we're here. So, unfortunately, we have to deal with him that particular way. Now, we can deal with, obviously, Lauren as well on the other side, right? Lauren took advantage of Clint, knew the kind of person he was. She had clocked him early, realized he's got no backbone, not strong. She's going to do exactly what Elliot did to her. And in fact, she dragged him along with it. You know what I'm saying to you, right? And actually, we got to see her true stars and her true stripes today throughout this course of this week. The fact that the girls were asking her questions about Clint, they were trying to find out what's going on with you, because we can see you ain't really giving them the energy. You're all talking about he's a nice guy, but we're not seeing none of that energy. None of your conversation seems to be bringing us back to a place where you're like, oh, I'm really liking Clint. I'm did it. No, you're not giving us those answers. So, of course, we're going to ask you questions. Now, Lauren's problem is that she is somebody who believes that she is better than most people. And that's why I'm actually really glad that Elliot got out of there. But the reality of the situation is she thinks she's better than people. And I said that from the very beginning of the season, that her attitude of being nitpicky is an issue, and it's come about right now. But it went so bad on this episode because she used Clint as a shield and used him as a rag to clean the floor. Okay, all right, mopped up the floor with him. And she went and told the girls one story, came back, and as Dave was trying to save him, telling him information, and I can understand why Clint wasn't want to take it on straight away. I can get it because the way it's come about, I understand. I take some context into consideration here. The way it came about, right, and then in that situation, you don't know you're being lied to, and you're trying to back it. Not only that, she consistently kept on lying. So she'll run back, tell the group, it's Clint that wants to leave. Baby, no, it's you that wants to leave, right? And so if Clint watches his back, I hope he takes his ball backs. But he's not going to, because I just saw a video of him trying to trash talk Ryan, whatever, about his golf swinging. And I said, Clint, you still haven't learned, have you? You still haven't got it in your thick head. You're still not understanding that you actually are the issue. You are being used. And so for me personally, just looking at Lauren and Clint, honestly, I can't even say I'm disappointed. Lauren just thinks she's better than most people. She's got an ego. And actually, we have to start putting her into that narc category. If we're going to easily put Elliot into that space, we better start putting her into that category, because some of the behaviors were honestly gaslighting, not just to her man, but also the people in the group, calling them names, thinking that she's better than people. Yeah, it was painful to see. And I don't even want to talk about Karina, how she defended her. Only defending bullies. I don't get that. But anyway, we'll discuss that later.
Yeah, we'll get to Karina, but definitely I think Elliot kind of was in response to her saying she needed an alpha male. I'm thinking Elliot is trying to become what he believes the alpha she's looking for. What are your thoughts on Lauren and Clint this week, Life is Reality?
Yo, first of all, good evening, everyone. Quick question. Have you guys seen the commitment ceremony yet? Yeah, you have?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, everything you said, Coach, is correct. I'll even go further and I'll go stronger and I'm going to go harder on Lauren. She vindicated, what's my man's name? The guy she was with initially.
Elliot.
Elliot, yeah, Elliot. He was the villain initially. They took her side. They went to bat for her immediately, girl code and all of that stuff. And now we find out who the real villain is. Just like in Scooby Doo, when you pull the mask off, the kids reveal who the real culprit is. It's been Lauren the whole time. Not only did she not get on with Elliot, she also has alienated herself from the rest of the women in the group, and also aimed fire at other members, other than men in the group too. She also has struggled to connect with Clint because she does have a hard exterior. She's very judgmental. She thinks she's above everybody, yeah, and she thinks she's beyond reproach. So that's going to obviously cause problems in a group setting. The experts were right to call her out on it. And obviously, when other members of the group have tried, she's always met them with sniping comments, calling them animals and this, that, the other, right? So she has no respect for anybody else's opinions other than her own. So she's very problematic. And even if Clint wasn't a soft touch, with even if he wasn't the way he was, she would still run over him and probably demoralize him the whole way through the relationship. So that's Lauren. Clint, I think he was there to make up the numbers. I think rather than just exit, have the courage, have the kahunas to say, you know what, Lauren, you're problematic. You're difficult to deal with. I'm out. He wanted to stay on the show and ride it to the end until she dictates when they're ready to go home, kind of thing. I think he would have stuck it out with her regardless, and that's a problem to me. But I'm not sad to see them go. It's about time. Lauren, you shouldn't even come back for a second chance. But the only thing I'll say is, by you coming back, you actually revealed who the true villain is in this scenario.
Oh, we're labeling her true villain. I will say villainous behavior. I agree with you. I don't know why Lauren is licking her nose down at everyone, except for I'm feeling like she may be insecure. She is, after all, on her second husband in the same season. Everybody's
Exactly.
the original partner. Why would Lauren decide that she's on a high horse and she's better than them, other than she feels kind of slighted that it didn't possibly work out with her first person, that she is, second time around a bride on the season? It just didn't scream that to me. But at the beginning, Lauren already was talking trash about Jamie from the first night she met Jamie. So this could have been built up. Any other thoughts on Lauren and
Yeah.
Clint?
Yeah. I'll just quickly say, just to add on to what you said, I don't see how she can be on her high horse when she's on her second marriage. Everyone's on their first. That means you failed the first time. So you need to have some more humility about what didn't work and try and change those things going forward. But she doesn't have the ability to self-reflect, which is what the experts highlighted when they pressed her. They said, do you feel like you are above everybody else? And if you listen to her answer, she didn't say yes with her chest, which is blatantly how she acts, how she's carried on, and what she said to people, right? She said she feels that it can be interpreted that way.
Mm-hmm.
So to
Mm-hmm.
me, like, nah, you blatantly are carrying on like you're above everybody else. And we saw this even before she got married to Elliot the first time. We saw it with her beef with her sister. She has the same attitude with everybody that she comes into contact with. So it's definitely a her problem. And she ain't gonna change because she has no ability to self-reflect.
I don't think she is going to change, but one couple that did make a drastic change, that had a fiery, fiery family visit, that I thought it was the end, should have been the end. They decided to stay. They went on the retreat, and now they are saying that, love has, not love, but their relationship has blossomed again. That is Adrian and Athena. They said they had a great couples retreat. She had a great smile, at the commitment ceremony. Everything feels good, according to Adrian. I'm thinking it's just a band-aid on a sore. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like we had a good vacation, but the troubles we left the apartment with are still there waiting for us when we return. Koja, what were your thoughts on Adrian and Athena this week?
I mean, listen, look, I've said this before, about Athena and Adrian. Like, it's nice to see them obviously smiling, right? It's nice to see them laughing. It's nice to see them joking. It is nice to see those things. Again, they are good looking people on the show. They're nice to look at. Okay. So I'm never going to take that away from the two of them. If we're talking real relationships here, well, obviously now at this point in time, why are they still together? Because he's still giving her the D and she's still taking it. And maybe this is her way of saying I'm getting some 3D that doesn't actually necessarily add to it adds to my body count, but it's not like I'm having multiple partners. I've got one person, I'm in the sanctity of quote unquote a marriage. You know what I'm saying to you, whilst I'm still getting this D in a situation, it's actually okay. You know what I'm saying? True, so I'm going to stick into it. But remember, I said going back to what happened last time, earlier on, last week when we discussed this, they spoke about her going against the sisters of Elliot and them discussing about the son issue. So did we sort out the son issue? Did we sort out the child issue? Because we didn't see that in this week. So how have we got past that point? Number two, like remember you were saying about you not discussing it. You know, you're not gonna. You haven't. He hasn't been talking about it. He hasn't. He has. That's a major issue. It's about you putting your child first. Well, this doesn't look like putting your child first to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even going to try to use that as a measuring stick or beating stick because, of course, everyone, being a parent is not easy. So let me just make it as a normal relationship issue. This is now a compatibility issue and you are not compatible. And we've not seen any growth on that aspect of being compatible when it comes to what is important to you, which one of them is your children. Right. So in that space, we've said this from the very beginning that this is a problem. And at this point, that Athena can't keep blaming Adrian about this. She has to take accountability for the fact that she keeps allowing herself to get stuck in this moment. Like she said herself, they were just talking, 24 hours later, they're sexing. Oh, so is that easy to overcome you? And this is where Athena has to take accountability and this is where I want what I want, but I want to now blame the other person. I don't want to be accountable for what I'm actually bringing to the table. And this is what people need to really realize, men and women, that you got to be accountable for what you are seeing in that relationship and stop trying to be like, they're just so bad. Yes, they are bad, but you are contributing towards it. And if you don't learn that lesson, you're going to go into another relationship and do the exact same thing again. Now, looking at Adrian, I don't know why you're there. I know why you're getting there. You're getting sex, and I understand that. That's free. But if we're talking about relationship wise, you're still not learning because you're actually not being open. You're still not growing. You're still not being emotionally available. So actually, it's a waste of your time. You're getting to persuade. Yeah, it's very nice, I'm sure, but you're actually not growing. And so if I'm a woman watching Adrian, I wouldn't be stepping into his DMs. I hope no ladies will be thinking to myself, he's so good looking, I can make him work. Stop it. Stop it. You can't. He's not available. He's not trying to be available and he's not growing. And this is a process that they're talking about. I've not seen the growth. It got to a certain point, it stopped. After that letter situation, I haven't seen growth again from him. I've not seen any growth. So at that point, I have to look at him and go, you don't want to grow. Right? And when I say grow, I mean, what I mean, I'm sure he's growing because everybody grows at some point, but it's minimalistic in terms of having a healthy relationship. And I'm not seeing that from him from last week to the week before. It's the same old thing. So while they're smiling right now, because again, a little sexing, sorry, a little bit of, intimacy, and I don't see this growth in this relationship. So they'll probably get to the end, but really and truly, if this continues, she's going to lose out majorly because he will use her, abuse her, and he'll be out.
Now that sounds like the seesaw of the relationship, or can we say like they were at the beach, the ebbs and flow. But I think Athena isn't paying attention to the high tide or the current. What is your thought? Life is reality.
Man, they're just not compatible outside of the physical chemistry that they have. Lifestyle wise, it was never going to work. We've seen throughout the entire season where, he's had instances where he hasn't even referenced the child that she has and how he's going to adapt to, being a stepfather or anything like that. And that's not what he was looking for anyway, as we've discussed already. So I don't see them progressing outside of a physical relationship beyond the show. No chance whatsoever. And you're right. How they resolve their arguments is they just go to bed. Have a quickie, have a quick fumble, or smiles until the next time. And that's not going to be the glue to keep you together or have a long-lasting relationship. If she wants a stepfather, which is what she says she's looking for, that's not it. If you're looking for just companionship and you've got your child, you're going to take care of your child, but you want someone who's a bedfellow, a companion at nighttime, whatever, he might be down for that. But ultimately she's looking for a stepfather. Her family are expecting her to have that as well for her son. So that's not going to work. Not compatible whatsoever.
So they are not compatible, other than being sequestered in this. They call it the experiment. So what are we doing here? Are we just here for promo? That's what I'm getting from Adrian. I'm here to be seen, because if that is the way his family feels about her, they cannot stand her. It sounds like they think she's a lower class than them. I don't see how this is even going to work on the outside, considering that he walked out with his family, against her, not truly against her, but against her. But while there is nothing wrong with a little bump and grinding, the problem is that all you're left with afterwards is dust. And that is what this couple may end up with, just dust. The sand on the beach, and it just gets washed away. Any other thoughts on Adrian and Athena before we move on to our next couple?
I will say it has been speculated by other members of the cast that Adrian is only there for promo anyway and opportunities after the show. So, it's a dead giveaway when not only are they calling it out, but there's other members of the audience that call it out as well. He doesn't even have the verbiage to, he's going to need some heavy speech coaching or whatever it is he's going to need, because, some of the things he says, it sounds like just mumbling or something like that. And I think his family do have a degree of uppityness, stuck-upness towards Athena, because they see her as coming with child, and they would probably prefer him to be with someone who doesn't have that.
True, the family did have a lot to say. And the next couple I want to bring up is going to be kind of, a topic of conversation. Sometimes the lady shares a little bit more with the group than he is comfortable with. Even though he was the one that was first sharing their between the sheets activities with the group. We'll have Ryan and Jackie. Apparently this week, Jackie shared with us that Ryan wishes to refrain from intimacy so he can preserve his essence for the gym. Okay? Now, I've heard this before, but I've only heard it with professional fighters, people who are training for certain things. Marathon runners sometimes do this, but not the everyday guy. Now, Ryan was not happy that Jackie shared it with the girls, and the girls said, that ain't normal. And the fellas are now saying, that ain't normal. And Ryan is saying, Jackie, if you tell my business again, we going to be done. Okay? we going to be done. So what are y'all thoughts this week? Because while I've heard it, I'm not sure we get the fact that this is what's going on. And an expert said, if you cannot release your essence, Ryan, why don't you help Jackie release hers? What are your thoughts, Kojo, on Ryan and Jackie this week?
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, I said, like, if they actually focus on each other, they actually could make this work. Do I think they're going to make it work? No. If I'm really honest, no. There's too much immaturity that's going to go on, but they're at least making it through through this process, right? Now, I think the biggest issue that we have here is that neither party ever really feels safe to be able to really um, uh, feel safe long enough in this relationship in order for it to progress as it should, right? Okay, for instance, Jackie mentioned about the sex issue. Probably should have asked him first, because she mentioned it to the girls before she mentioned it, right? Because this is not a normal setting where you have friends outside who are not going to necessarily mingle and coagulate with your man. This is actually a show where the women will talk to the men and it will get back. So there's a different set of rules. If this had been real life, she would have had friends that would never speak to him, and she can talk to him about those issues. And that's the difference. It's context. It's understanding the context of the situation. So I understood why she was asking, because it might have been. I mean, I get why she's thrown off. I get it. Like, in the morning, why can't you have sex? Oh, sorry. Why can't you have intimacy? Oh, it's because because I need to keep my testosterone for the gym. Now, have I heard that before? Probably not for the gym. But I've heard it for obviously those people who are competing, those who are doing particular sports. They will do it, especially leading up to the time, as well, just to keep the testosterone within their body. Does it work? Some people say it does. Some people say it doesn't. Doesn't really matter. It depends on what the person believes, right? But in regards to that situation, it was just really just a contextual issue. It's like she shouldn't have mentioned it to the group because it's going to get back to him. Now, where she also failed is this: once the group was starting to get on him, she should have shut everybody down. And should have shut it down and said, let me have a conversation with Ryan separately. I don't fully understand it. Da, 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 da. Because at that point, it did become embarrassing. And at some points, Veronica, why are you so invested? You're too inner, relax. Old girl Beth, you're too invested. Why are you there? You got your own man. You've actually got intimacy issues. So why are you talking about why are you so invested in somebody else's one? So heavy. You know what I'm saying to you? Relax. Like, you know what I'm saying to you? And that's what that came because as a result of Jackie allowing that to happen because she decided to open her mouth and say something. And same thing that happened with Ryan when he did it with her and said about the ex situation. It's the same thing. It's like you're not covering your partner if you haven't discussed this with your partner, if you can have this conversation amongst the group, because it's going to come back. And so I did feel some type of way. Now, my thing is this. Yeah, I don't know why Beth decided to come after them. And when they were in their own solo thing, I get why he had to apologize. But me personally, I would have told, listen, old boy, listen, why did your wife follow me? If me and my wife are having a conversation, why is she in her to come and have a conversation? You need to hold reins on your own wife. She shouldn't be in amongst my conversation. Now, Ryan should have told her to get away and move. You know what I'm saying? She got nothing to do with you. And so yeah, it was kind of humiliating in the point for Ryan, and I get that. In this instance, it was kind of humiliating, just like he did with the whole, you know, the Guac 3000. It was also humiliating to. So you understood. So that's my only issue. I don't like when Ryan does that. Ryan does a thing where he will be like, "Oh, this is only time. This is a one last time. Next time." It's like, well, you did it, so you should actually understand how difficult it is when someone says something they don't want to actually say it, and they don't mean for it to come out the way it's going to come out. You should be able to understand that, but it's because he never feels safe, and that's actually a him issue. It's not a Jackie issue; it's a him issue. He doesn't feel safe in that relationship. So both of them got a lot of work to be doing in that space. She didn't cover him. He didn't handle the embarrassment very well. He then cussed out the friend, and then that became an issue. And I just feel like it could have been done a different way, as well in that space. So yeah, it was disappointing to see, but they made it back, and they're still having sex. Sorry, they're having intimacy. So I guess it's working out for now.
So the expert Alejandra, she is the intimacy coach for the couples. She did disclose to Ryan, hey, if you prioritize your wife, or if there was no dissatisfaction, she wouldn't be sharing this with the group. What are your thoughts about Ryan and Jackie this week? Life is reality.
Yeah, I'm not surprised there's no covering of each other because they're not connected like that. Like again, this is another couple that seems to be patching up their relationship with nookie time, like sexy time, so the jiggy jiggy or whatever you want to call it. Um, that only lasts temporary. As soon as that um, the precipice of ecstasy has been reached, you got to come back to reality and deal with each other. And I still find Jackie very awkward, very cringe worthy with the way she behaves and the things she says. Maybe it's just her personality. Ryan still puts his foot in his mouth, in my opinion, and I don't think they're compatible. Don't think they're going to work. I think Jackie exposing their activity was another awkward cringe moment. Did she have to go so far, so into detail? And then for Ryan, yeah, like I've been in the fitness industry for over 10 years, like close to 15 years. So I have definitely heard of people, um, guys, um, retaining their testosterone, usually for competing purposes, fighting purposes, but also for cognitive purposes, because it keeps you sharp as well, right? And if you're having multiple uh, orgasmic experiences, it can be draining. It can leave you tired. It can leave you fatigued throughout your day. So if you have things to accomplish, and you're falling asleep or you're yawning or you've got work or you've got meetings or whatever, and you're tired and you're not able to think straight, then that can really affect you. But still, Ryan ain't got none of that because they're on this show. They've been given a pass from work, so all they have to do is have this relationship on TV. So I'm not buying it, Ryan. Think it's a cop out. I think he just doesn't want to keep having jiggy jiggy with her and covering up their issues. I think that's what he's trying to say. Once is enough. We don't need to do it 2, 3 times, and it's overkill at that point.
But he's a warrior. He started off the entire thing telling us he's a warrior. So, in his stance of being a warrior, he has to, stay in top physical um, peakness, so withholding, but he doesn't understand the balance. You're withholding does not mean your partner has to withhold as well. Now, gentlemen, if you want to address, like, if you have had, or how you would address your significant other, like sharing this with friends and then it coming back to the circle, how would you handle this with Ryan, in Ryan's shoes?
Well,
Apart from the show, just life.
El Cid, every warrior needs his Trojans. All right. So, like, if I'm coaching Ryan or I'm speaking to Ryan, if he's a client of mine, for example, and he shared with me his experience with Jackie, first of all, I'm listening to him, and then I'm saying, listen, Ryan, you got to figure out whether you actually like her for who she is and whether you actually see a future with her, because it seems so easy for both of you to get into situations where you're clashing. So, regardless of what you want to say or do, the put the nighttime activities to one side, or the hiding the sausage, or whatever you want to call it, put that to one side. How do you see yourself going forward with Jackie? Because you're just papering over the cracks, and it's going to all fall down once both of you get further into a relationship where you're so invested. Supposing she gets pregnant, now you have to consider bringing your families together and everything. Is this a stable relationship to go forward with?
Kojo, have you experienced what Ryan has fallen into?
Maybe not like with the actual topic at hand, but yeah, maybe if you're in a relationship long enough, you probably will have a situation like that where someone says something and they don't realize they said something that is actually quite hurtful to the other person, or they expose something to the rest of the people that they didn't realize was something, right? So I think you just got to take that person aside. Now, how I handled it was when I was young was very immature. I threw a tantrum. I can't lie to you. I ain't spoke to that person for the next 2-3 days. You know what I'm saying to you? Because they didn't even realize they said something, but their friends did. So sometimes it does happen where people do that stuff. You know what? And I was petty. I retaliated. I gave her one the next few days in front of her friend. I said something. And she was like, "Oh my god, how could you say that?" I said, "Well, that's what it feels like." Yeah, because I was about show and tell them times. Now, of course, that is not the way to handle relationships. You don't want to do that, guys. Okay, that's immature. So how do you handle it? Yes, I think when he first started it, he was actually in the right. He pulled her aside to have the conversation. Right. The second thing that happens is when Beth comes over, he should send her away. Beth, go back to your man. This is between me and my girl. You don't need to come and get yourself involved. It's between me and my girl. I don't want this. Number 3, the next thing is you cannot keep threatening to leave the relationship every time it doesn't go your way. It then becomes a source of manipulation. And number 2, it weakens over time. So the person's going to be like, you don't even really mean what you say because you didn't do it. You're still here. You know what I'm saying to you, right? So you don't want to do that as a case in point. So the first 2 points you got right. Call her over, then have that conversation. But don't let someone else intervene. But stop using the manipulation when it comes to I'm going to quit, I'm going to leave, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the best way to do it. And then explain how this behavior has actually impacted you and how you feel about it, so she can understand your feelings. You know what I'm saying to you? That's the warrior, and not the way necessarily he was handling it.
Now, the next couple, one of them did not explain fully how the person's behavior impacted them, to build off of what Kojo just said. She's been holding back her personality, she told us. We thought it was great at the retreat. We thought it was wonderful. They were having, fun at the pool. She was waxing his back, all of that. Veronica and Elliot. She tells us she's holding back because she doesn't think Elliot can handle her whole personality. I think she doesn't think it's safe. I think she's thinking, why would I pour into someone who I believe doesn't have the emotional depth and breadth that I'm looking for? So she doesn't want to overwhelm him. I think it's a cop out. We didn't see much about them this week, but she, did interject asking Ryan about pumping iron in the gym. But it's like she's withholding herself but neglecting her relationship at the same time. And Elliot was shocked that she's modifying her personality. What are your thoughts, Life is Reality, about Veronica and Elliot?
Yeah, she's definitely holding back. And that's because when she showed side of her personality in previous episodes, it didn't go down well. She came across as very hostile, very disruptive, and it left him bewildered. You can see by the look on his face, he's like, what's happening here? She is easy to anger. And when she goes off, and then she'll storm off. So she has to temper the way she has not temper. She has to modify the way she comes across now, because it wasn't a good look for her when she started out on the show. This is Elliot's second marriage, so he's trying to obviously make amends for the first one not going right, and probably trying to give this one a bit more of a go. And she's not fully receptive to that. I think now she's modified the behavior. Maybe there's a better chance of it working, but it's the only way they're going to go forward. If she comes across as hostile towards him, he seems like he's tolerating a lot, but that's not the recipe for a successful relationship. So I don't necessarily think I see this one working either.
Well, as you said, as Life is Reality said, Veronica and Elliot, Kojo, this is Elliot's second marriage in a month. It's weird to say it, but this is the first time in Married at First Sight history where the first one breaks up after 2 days, and now we're back here with a new bride. And Elliot didn't even notice that her personality is kind of withdrawn. And I think it's because she was doing all that superficial fun and pool party stuff at the retreat, and probably using the presence of the other people to kind of help mask it. What were your thoughts on Veronica and Elliot this week?
Well, I mean, listen, hey, she must be a good actor. But I think what's interesting about the situation is that first and foremost, saying about Elliot. Well, Elliot, now you see how when someone's behavior is not nice and it's not pretty and how it's rude. This is how it feels, right? So Elliot needs to take some stock and really look at this, because I spoke this on the very first start of that first season, first week. The way that you spoke about Tim, even though you were right, the way that you spoke about Tim was an issue. The way that you handled even Lauren's situation, while I believe you were right in leaving, it's the way you handled it. That's what was the issue. And now you're finding out that the way that someone's handling you is very painful. I can see how painful, because you can see in his eyes how painful it is. No matter how strong he is, it is painful because he likes her, and that's the big issue now, right? And so I need him to see that and take stock and say, okay, the way maybe I need to, I never want to feel like this again. I never want anyone else to feel like this. So even if I don't like you, yes, I will still be true to myself and say I got to go. But there's a way I'm going to handle it, and that's what he needs to learn from that. I hope he doesn't go the opposite way. He should learn. In saying that, with Veronica, okay, listen, number two, knock. I'm not saying she is, but I'm saying if we were to class people by knocks, I don't do that, so I don't like that. If we were to class people as knocks, then she would be number two knock, Laura number one, and her number two, right? Because this quick, we're talking about how men are. I just 1 minute he was like this, next minute he's like this, suddenly he's like this. Well, that's what we saw with Veronica. 1 minute she was all good, the next minute she has become someone else. Now, there is actually a source of information as to what's happened here, right? We know that obviously with Veronica, when she first started, she was acting as if she was going to be a cool girl. She's going to handle Elliot. She needs to handle Elliot. Well, she's handling Elliot. Now she's handling him in the wrong way, right? Because she's got no middle balance. She's extreme on either end. So when she first started, she was like, I'm going to be cool. I'll leave it open. Okay, he's telling me all these things. I'm laughing with it. It's joking. Okay, he's on his second marriage. Okay. All her friends will say like, damn, girl, take it seriously. She's like, oh, I'll handle it. Don't worry. Oh, she's handled it all right. But she went to the complete opposite end because she doesn't have balance. So much so that the way that she treated him obviously we know there with the letter task, she was completely off the boil. And that has come also at the same time that going to Lauren, who she thought, and at the time I actually understood it, because what she saw at the dinner party was wild from Elliot. Let's be honest. After Lauren saying what she's saying, he's confirming the bias that's already in the air. Okay, so I get it. When she went to Lauren, though, unfortunately, what she didn't realize was that you were now compromised, and that if you were going to make that relationship work, you shouldn't be going to an ex. That's madness. If you're trying to make that relationship, you do this when the relationship is done. If you go to the ex, and if you're going to do this, and it's dark arts, if you're going to go to the ex, don't get found out. Don't get found out that you went to the ex to get information, right? Because now you're looking like you're colluding with the enemy. You know what I'm saying to you? And instead of and again, of course, she apologized a little bit later on. And so obviously she colluded with the enemy, and that's where it went downhill. From there, she really started drilling it at him, and now she doesn't want to be open to anything in terms of him saying anything. Can't see his point of view, nothing. So when she was going to go to this resort and to the getaway with Elliot, she feigned and she fawned and she lied because really that's not how she feels, right? And that tells me something about her. You're not as direct as you said you were, because if you really were, you'd have just said it. But now we've seen that you a little bit of conflict. Actually, really, you are running. So now, what's going on, Veronica? I thought you was all about that, right? So you've ended up lying and playing a particular role in that moment to keep the peace or whatever. Okay, and now we are at a stage where we're sitting on a couch. I have no clue. Okay, Elliot has no clue, and all of a sudden he comes out and says, "Well, actually, I was pretending." So you mean the whole week you've been pretending, and that's the only reason why we got on. And I think that is probably the last straw that's probably going to break the camel's back officially. With something else that will probably break it, but this is the last straw before the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because if I'm thinking about this for myself, I'm going to myself, "Oh, so now this is what you can do. How would I ever trust that you are actually ever being true?" And now you're saying I can be your. Now you're going to be your true self. I saw your true self last week, and so we're going to go back there. Is that what we're gonna do? Because this is, you know what I'm saying, True. So this, if this, and I'm saying again, if this was a man, we will be saying this is scary. This is he's a narc. He's just dangerous. He, and all of these words were coming out, and this is scary, and this is dangerous because now he doesn't know how to move. I was vulnerable, and I got caught. I got called out the way I did. We're having fun. You were lying. So what's next? You're gonna be true, and something else gonna happen, right? At this point, I'm actually scared for Elliot because anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? We're in 2025. Someone accuse you of something. You know what I'm saying? You can be done. If this person's willing to lie and willing to do something, bro, before you know it, you've got an accusation on your name. And one accusation goes out, you actually can't take it back. There's no going back. Even if you're proven innocent, every time people will be like, "But there was that." It's always that. So I am concerned for Elliot in this particular aspect. In this instance, because of the way that she can be so cold, that even that when she was apologizing, she's talking about him. It's my last point. She's talking about him not being emotive and not sharing his emotions and not going deep enough. Baby, when you was apologizing, I didn't see any remorse. What I saw was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have done better. I'll do better next week and everything like that. If we're talking about that, I felt like you weren't really apologizing. That's what I was looking at. So for me personally, again, I'm concerned as well, man. Yeah, concerning.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, this is why he's bewildered, because if he's vulnerable, he's seen how quickly she can erupt, seen how quickly she can use it against him. And like you said, she's already colluded with the ex about the situation as well and kind of sided with her on certain things. Now, the other thing I'll add to it is um, Veronica is much more what Elliot was expecting when coming into the experiment the first time. I think if he had been paired with Veronica initially, he probably wouldn't have left her after a few days. He probably would have stayed because there are more attractive qualities as far as he's concerned compared to Lauren. So, um, uh, so I think that's why he's hanging in there as much as he is. But he definitely looks like a deer caught in headlights in certain points, and he's been quite quiet, not as vocal as I thought he would have been, especially initially from the first marriage. He's nowhere near as vocal about his dislikes, and I think he's just scared to tread. Really, it's like he's treading on eggshells, trying to keep the peace as well. And I think Veronica, yeah, by admitting that she was pretending, now who are you really? And if you're capable of faking the funk like that, then yeah, definitely a red flag.
Speaking of a deer in headlights, in the next couple, the bride certainly was a deer caught in the headlights with the conflict between Jamie and Lauren. Ryan Jeff. Ryan Jeff. He does say he cares for her. He saw her personality shift and he felt like he wanted to take care of her more. And the experts, I'm going to phrase it this way, the experts pushed him into saying he could see himself falling in love with her. She finds it's good to hear. I don't believe it. I don't see Jeff getting and falling as far as Rye is falling for him. So I'm just like, I don't know why we're here, why we're together, other than for Rye and Jeff to put salt in certain things to kind of spice it up a little bit. But I don't believe they're getting any closer. They are more intimate, they said, but I didn't like the experts pushing Jeff to say he could fall in love. Now Rye gave Jamie the acknowledgement and apology that she was looking for. Rye acknowledged everybody's wrongdoing. So, what are your thoughts this week? We didn't see a whole lot from Jeff, but we certainly saw quite a bit from Rye. So, Kojo, what were your thoughts on Jeff and Rye this week?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I see both Rye and Jamie's point, right? Um, and with Rye, I understand why she's not the type. We actually know that she's not the type to get in the midst of a heated battle. That girl took up the courage for a long time before she could confront Jackie. Okay, so Rye's not lying. She's not one of those people that are trying to be. She isn't. She hasn't got that energy. You know what I'm saying? I think she's one of those people that when the pressure hits, her mind goes blank. It's like I would have said that after, and she's like, "Oh, I wish I said that," but she's not one of those people. She don't have that fight in her like that. You know what I'm saying? It takes a bit of time for her to get there. So I understood why she couldn't necessarily defend Jamie in that right way. Okay, my issue with Rye is, but the girl called you a loser, and you're still going to defend her. That's nuts to me. Now we've got a bigger problem, right? So your compassion, and this is the problem I have with people like Ryan and Karina. There's men like this and there's women like this. It's very annoying. People like that will tell you, I'm just for the people. I just want people to be okay and happy. But you didn't check both sides. Okay. You went behind her. You went to see her at the breakfast time with eggs. Okay, fantastic. Did anybody know? Why are you doing this silently? Are you not friends with both her and Lauren? So you're showing that you're actually not on both sides. You're showing that you're on one side. And so therefore your loyalty will be questioned. When really what you are, you're not loyal to either person. You just don't like debate and anger. You don't like that thing. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's where their loyalty lies with. And that's why I find those kind of people annoying. Because they'll be like, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I just so compassionate for everybody. I feel everything. I feel it. Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Because you are showing us your loyalty. And people who are not loyal to any side, just know that they will definitely backstab you eventually. And she did. In essence, she did because she did not stand up for Jamie. Now, she's not owed that, Jamie, but if you're saying you're friends, I get, you know what I'm saying too? So I really appreciate the apology by Rye. She knew she was wrong. She could have stood up for her friend. And because you went to consult with the enemy and started trying to be compassionate with the enemy, makes no sense. When you consult with the devil and try to be like, devil, I just want to make sure you okay? I know Jesus slapped you left and right. I just want to make sure you're good. You good? Makes no sense.
While it made no sense for Rye to go in silence, and I kind of understand she doesn't want the confrontation again. She's all about she don't want the fight. She doesn't want the fight. She's not going to look, you know, at it and say, this person was wrong or that person was wrong. She just doesn't like the heat in the kitchen, but she's willing to eat the food. What were your thoughts, Life is Reality, about Ryan Jeff this week?
Yeah, again, with Rye, I think I definitely agree with some of the earlier points made. She definitely doesn't like confrontation, but you got to stay out of it. You got to stay out of people's business. The moment you interject and you try and go between both parties, you're putting yourself in the mix. And if the two girls don't like each other, they're going to say, oh, well, Rye came and said this to me about you, and you're putting yourself in problems. Focus on your relationship. Get out of other people's business. Focus on you and Jeff. Now, you and Jeff still have work to do on your connection. I don't necessarily see a problem with her possibly being more attractive to Jeff than Jeff is to her. Sometimes it doesn't work simultaneously, but as long as it's working towards them both being attracted to each other and making the relationship work, then that's still a good thing. But yeah, she needs to mind her own business. And this is one of the things I see as a common theme on Married at First Sight Australia. You always have some nosy, in this case, it is Jamie. Like, she is nosy, always interjecting in people's business. And she doesn't like it when someone does it to her, right? She thinks she's above reproach to a degree as well, right? Because the experts got it right here as well. While Jamie has fire for Lauren and a disdain for her, and they don't like each other. Now Lauren's gone home. Who are you beefing with now? Right. That's who you've got animosity with, your supposed friend in the situation. Right. So yeah, focus on your relationship, keep out the business or that doesn't pay you. And you'd have a much better experience in your relationship, more time to focus on your partner, and you shut down all the external noise.
Well, the other couple that's having how can I say it? Miscommunication is what the experts called it. They're having miscommunication. One thinks you don't want me because you're not hugging me. The other one thinks, well, I pulled back from doing that because he didn't seem receptive. Beth and TJ. Beth is saying, I don't think TJ is attracted to me. And TJ is like, yeah, I am, but you aren't responding to say you want me to keep on being touchy feely. So all of this miscommunication when both of them are sitting there separately thinking the other doesn't like me, but they saying they like each other. I'm not too sure about that. But if that's what you're willing to say in front of the experts, I'm gonna let you have it. So he's saying he took a step back. She's saying she wants him to take a step forward. Is this just a matter of we're dancing to different rhythms, Kojo? What are your thoughts on Beth and TJ?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it was interesting to see that they are both on different wavelengths, right? But I can understand, like again, if you've got insecure attachments on both sides, this will definitely happen because there's going to be a lack of communication, and people are having expectations that are silent, and assumptions that are very loud. So obviously, with she wanting, her not being sure of that, and him wanting a surety from her, it is a cyclical cycle that gets broken when someone decides to take that first step. And so I think it can happen to a lot of couples when you're kind of assuming, or you are trying to see you're trying to see the what's not been said as a behavior and reading it, rather than going, okay, I'm seeing it, let me ask you what's going on. So rather than asking that question, we just make a judgment based on the behavior. Oh, maybe I did kiss you, but maybe you did pull back a little bit, but I don't know why. Maybe I bit your lip and you did, and you didn't say nothing to me. But now if I'm in my insecure mind, I'm gonna judge that and be like, oh, she pulled away. And if I don't have a conversation, we say, actually, our last kiss, like, just want to make sure everything's cool. Like, it felt like he pulled away. Is everything okay? And if she's honest, she should say like, no, he bit my lip. So I pulled out a little bit. That's all. That is it. Then I'm reassured in that moment. But I had to have the conversation first. So for now, I'm not gonna say who's the worst one. I'm not gonna say worst one, but who's the issue on this. I think it's both an issue in this situation, because he's telling us that he does want her, but he wants to be wanted. That's fair. She's saying, I don't know if I feel it, but I want to be wanted. Well, then we're going to have a conversation about what makes us feel wanted and what makes us feel desired. If I kiss you, I want to feel that you want me to kiss you. I want that as well. You know what I'm saying to you? If you want me to touch you, I want you to know that I'm okay. I want you to feel like I'm okay when I am touching you. And these are conversations that have to happen. They had sex and then pulled back. So probably something else is the fears, but probably something else has also happened. Like they've seen something but haven't spoke about it to each other. And so they've made their judgments about each other. And that's why they're having these issues. It's actually, if there is no attraction issue, generally no attraction issue, then all it is communication. They're not talking, they're just assuming, and that can happen to a lot of couples.
And that certainly can happen to people who are strangers, who first time meeting is at the altar. They don't know what you like, dislike. They don't know the nonverbal cues. Do you like me? Do you not? So a lot of this has to be very verbal. You have to vocalize so the person understands, knows, and processes exactly what you're trying to tell them. What are your thoughts? Life is reality.
Yeah, I think there is obviously a very poor communication in terms of the intimacy between these two. And it will get worse if it isn't fixed. An intimacy-less relationship for such a young, vibrant couple in this experiment isn't a good sign. Attraction is important. If there is a lack of attraction, a lack of affirmation into how you feel about the person, whether it's Beth with TJ or the other way around, TJ complimenting Beth for giving her affirmations, how good she looks, whatever the case may be, then it leads to insecurity. You think he's going to look elsewhere. You think I'm not worthy enough. My body's not good enough. You know, um, he doesn't like me anymore. And he's going to be like, listen, every time I try to touch or make an advance, she shuts it down, or she's not receptive, or she's not responding in the way that I'm expecting. And it causes a erosion of the emotional connection. And then when it becomes non-existent and you wonder why he's not making advances anymore, and she's not giving you those choosy signals anymore, it comes to a halt. And then now all you're left with is the conversation piece and the bickering and arguing that may follow, and resentment may build up on either side because you're not getting satisfied with intimacy. So it's not a good look so early on to be experiencing that. So they'd have to obviously take the experts' advice and see if they can overcome that pretty soon before it gets to a point of no return. Because the season is coming to an end. The season is coming to an end now, so they joined late, so they don't have as much time as the other couples do.
Right. They joined late. They certainly haven't had the time, but they've been given an accelerated program. And communication, miscommunication. The next couple is not a miscommunication between them. I think it's a miscommunication with the whole retreat situation they're involved in. And my, how the tides have turned. First, they were questioning him a lot last week on the commitment ceremony. This time, they're questioning her a lot this time. And the behavior between these two, I'm seeing that she isn't relying on him as much throughout this. And that is where I'm seeing a little bit of a crack in that relationship. It's Karina and Paul. Karina, of course, is she was going to talk to Lauren, see what, Lauren's side was, but in front of her, like in front of Rye, Lauren was calling the girls all kinds of names and wild animals and things, and Karina did not hold her to account. So she is caught, as she said, in the middle of the drama. So Karina now had last week Paul hit the door. This week, Jamie and Lauren's battle. Karina is getting it on all sides, y'all. And I don't see her leaning on Paul as her anchor. And that to me doesn't bode very well for this relationship. She did hold her own. She did state, her feelings with the whole Lauren situation. She was like, this is sounding like Mean Girls. Understand the vocabulary may not have been where it should have been. But just like Rye, just like you said, Kojo, she didn't go check in with both people. She went to Lauren and kind of just brought Lauren's side to Jamie, but did not acknowledge Jamie and Jamie's thoughts and feelings. What were your thoughts with Karina and Paul this week, Kojo?
Well, I mean, we didn't see much of their relationship, to be honest, because obviously we saw the beef for last week, the fighting, the punching of the walls from last week as well. So this week was more about obviously the resort, right? And we didn't get to see. We heard Paul a little bit in the background, but I mean, she was getting it from all sides, Karina. She was getting it from all sides in that essence. And my honest sentiment of the Karina situation is Jamie did go too far at the dinner party. When I say too far, it is the way she attacked the issue. She got into a space where she just was throwing blows and forgot that that's not the way to communicate, right? And I totally understand why Jimmy would have gone into that space. I get it. She was defending everybody else and wanted to be defended, but just remember that you're not defending people so that you can be defended back. And if you do feel like they should defend you back, I get it because you're friends, right? There's a way to handle it and have the conversation. The way she handled it would not make anybody want to have your back on that, Do I believe that Karina made a mistake? Absolutely. And I've said the same thing about her and Rye. I don't like people who are like them. I don't like them because when the beef actually happens, they forget what actually happened that led up to that particular beef in the first place. Like, it's like, we just got to be cool. We're Christians. Shut up. Like pack it in. You know what I mean? Like there should be an aspect of going to both people, which is what Jamie was saying. I definitely understand that. That's the first and foremost thing. I think Karina going to console Lauren and then calling it a mean girl environment. You are projecting, and your triggered moment projected into that situation, which is what really annoyed me, because then the experts who didn't get to see the clip or whatever then said, well, if that's what Jamie was, it that's not what actually happened. And that's the problem we have, is that the storytelling gets absolutely warped because Karina doesn't want to be honest. And because Karina's trying to be everybody's friend, and really and truly, when you're a friend of everybody, you're nobody's friend. And that's why I said I don't like people that are friends with everybody. You cannot be friends with everybody. It's not possible. It's like trying to be friends with Jesus and the devil and saying, I don't want beef with Jesus. You're going to have beef. You want we don't like the other side. You know what I'm saying to you? So if Karina really wanted to keep both sides, if you're gonna do that, you should have gone to both people and had a conversation. What Karina did was, because she had projected in that moment how she would feel, and the fact that maybe in her childhood, like she said, that she had been ganged up on, she immediately took that position for Lauren and completely missed what was happening in that situation. She called your ass a loser. You didn't even address that. That for me is problematic. That is why you can't handle Paul either. You are not listening to what's actually happening in front of you. Called you a loser, called you a Bogdan. She was addressing the whole group, by the way, and she thought she was better than all of you, including you, by the way, right? And this is why people like Rai and Karina, I call them casualties of war, because they are willing to be used by people like Lauren, because they are willing to try and keep sides on both sides, become double agents, and be like, I'm just trying to keep the peace. So that was Karina's first mistake, doing that aspect. And never did she go to Jamie after to be like, hey, Jamie did it. And it's because she was triggered by Jamie. I think the way that Jamie talks, and I won't lie to you, sometimes the way Jamie talks, I've already said this already, when she addressed the Tim situation, the way that she goes at it, it's always going to be her biggest issue. It's always going to be her biggest issue. But in that instance, I understood why. You ain't going to call me a loser, a Bogdan. You're not going to look down at me. You're not going to be, letting us know. And I could understand it. So, Karina, if you're a peacekeeper, you go to both parties to keep the peace. Okay? Now, after that, the dinner party that was between her and Jamie shut her down completely. And it's not a well done, Jamie. It was like, right, no, Jamie, like, you told a girl to shut her mouth, which is absolutely rude and disrespectful. Okay? All right? You're pointing your finger. You were shutting her down. So you was no way. How would anybody apologize to you? How can somebody even want to say sorry? I don't want to say sorry after that. You just lambasting me, and your triggered behavior is now meaning that our relationship is going to be completely fractured. I did feel for Queen in that particular instance, because as much as I feel like she was double agenting, the way that Jamie handled it was not the way to handle it at all. It was really, really bad. So I understand why Queen would have felt down and sad about it in those particular moments. I wish the experts would have done a bit more digging, because all they saw was a dinner party and they saw Lauren's behavior. So you know what happened. So for me, it was like and maybe it was more to it. We didn't get to see it. Maybe they did address it. I felt like, yes, they validated Karina, which was right as they did. But we should also be validating Jamie, the fact that it was actually only Jamie that had the balls, as well as Athena a little bit, but only because Athena was behind Jamie, that to address the issue. And hadn't Jamie not been there, they all would have been bullied. And they would have all kept their mouth shut. And then all been crying behind the scene, talking about Lauren's just so rude, but none of them would have said anything. And that's the issue. And I wish that the experts would have not gone at Jamie a little bit. I'm going a bit over, so let me just leave it as is. But yeah, I just felt like it was good that they validated Karina, and they were right. Jamie handled it incorrectly. So the way they handled Jamie was good. I just wish they would have balanced it a little bit, because you let Karina think that she was right. And that's disloyal. And I won't mess with people like that. I'd rather have Jamie on my side, who go and cuss people out, and I know what she thinks. Then someone like Karina goes, I'm just so with you. And then behind my back, she's like, I'm just so with you. No.
So for those, I had to also look up boganic, what it means in Australia. It is a way of telling someone they are low class, they are trash. That is what bogan or boganic is used. So it is definitely, very high insult in their culture. And for Lauren to say that and still garner sympathy, it's kind of like, throwing a rock, hiding your hand, and everybody's more sympathetic for the person because they got a little bruise from holding that rock. So life is reality. What did you think about Karina, Paul? It was more, of course, this week, Karina, you know, fighting her way or staying afloat in the issue with Jamie and Lauren.
Yeah, again, similar to Ree, Karina fast up herself in other people's business. And, the downside to that is you get drawn into conflict. And in at the dinner table, you're getting yelled at, you're getting cussed out in front of everybody. And she may feel like she was stepping in as an intermediary, as a peacemaker or whatever, but no, like you're now getting aimed at by the person that you claim to be on side with, you know? Um, Similar with Ree, like the person that you're beefing with, Lauren, she's already made a fool of herself and shown everybody who she really is. So you don't even need to intervene because Lauren's already showed herself. Now you've got Jamie attacking you because she feels like you weren't on side with her. So you should have just stayed out of the business in the first place. We'll get on to Jamie, of course, because we haven't discussed that couple yet. But
Right.
I wouldn't, if I'm Paul, I'm just trying to tell her, listen, stay out of people's business. Like, focus on me and you. We've been going great. We've had one of the better experiences on the show. Let's continue that. If you get drawn into other people's conflicts, you're going to pull that energy into what we're doing, and we don't need that. So,
Like the
yeah,
like the comment I highlighted, Karina says you can hit a wall and call it passion, but when you're upset like Jamie, it's a mean girl. So just like
yeah,
Kojo said, it skews the vision.
hmm absolutely. And Jamie's one of the things that triggered her the most is being called a mean girl. She went absolutely crazy. She's like, I'm not a mean girl, and this, that, the other, and she had to clarify, it's mean girl energy. I was saying, I didn't necessarily say you're a mean girl. I'm saying, it's mean girl energy. That's what the comment actually was. So Jamie just has a problem backing down. She can be loud and proud and wrong and strong at the same time. And as a result of that, anyone that tries to be an intermediary and go in between, they're going to be collateral damage because Jamie just doesn't know when to stop.
Now I have to say, full disclosure, I used to be Jamie, and we'll get to that couple next. I used to be Jamie. I used to go to bat for my friends. I would be the one you would pull up. Where we going? I'm not questioning you because I got your back. But the hard thing with Jamie in doing this, yes, Karina and Rye did something wrong. Yes, you can express yourself saying your friend did something you think is incorrect, but don't burn so bright that you're burning this friendship too. Because don't burn so bright that there's no way for you, Karina, and Rye to come back from that slight. And that's why I think Jamie got a little too hot. Yes, you were slighted. Yes, this happened, but nobody hears you at a certain point. They hear your volume, they hear you're elevated, but they're not going to hear your words because there's too much heat behind it. And this may have been a time where the three of them need to sit quietly to talk about what was happening. But Jamie was just there really to see the experts chastise Lauren, is what she said. She said that would be her Christmas present. But what Jamie's failing to see, and I wonder if y'all saw this bombshell too, is though she told Dave, I love you, and said he doesn't need to say it back, Dave don't look like he even want to say it at all. Dave may be like, hey, this is too much foot soldiering for me. I want to rest in my relationship. You gonna get us in battles. I'm going to Clint telling him during his confessional. Dave is like, I am putting in more work with everyone outside than in this relationship. What were your thoughts, Kojo, on Jamie and Dave?
Well, I think it's come to the point that we said it would come to Jamie and Dave, which is that with Jamie, unfortunately, what she may not be aware is it is the backlog of fighting that she does for other people that begins to impede on her relationship. We said this at the very beginning that that's going to be very difficult. Again, let me take Dave first. I get it. Dave wants a backer, defender, etc., etc. What he's also not being honest about is how much of a toll it takes, and it's because I'm gonna go. This is, you know, it's very similar. This is uh Clifton and Joy all over again. That when Joy gets into that space, and she gets into her energy and wants to fight, and Clifton told her, "Listen, chill the heck out, like leave it alone." And Joy doesn't want to listen because Joy want to fight. Then it impacts the relationship. And I think I'm not sure if I'm hearing Dave ever tell her, "Listen, leave it alone." You know, we haven't really seen that. Dave is calculating to himself, "I don't know how long I can do this for," and he's not realizing that he needs to be like, "Hey, Jamie, when it's getting to a certain point, come on, stop. You're going too far ahead of yourself." How he has to play a role in that also, right? Since you decided you want to stay with her, that's a role you got to play into because you're silently disappearing. And that's why he can't say I love you, because I don't think he's sure of what's going to happen in the future. And so for me personally, I see that as well with Dave, that he's not opening himself to that particular space. And it's because I don't know if he feels comfortable being able to open himself to that space, because he doesn't know if he trusts her to be able to, one day this may come back on me. You know what I mean? Like right now it's not on me, but one day it may come back on me. And I think that's what's happening to him. Because the fights that are consistently happening. Number two, I would say obviously for Jamie, she is obviously somebody who's a very fierce protector, you know, because she has been probably unprotected for a very long time. And she finds herself in a space where she's always trying to defend other people, and which is fine to a degree, but it's when the expression that you're always defending, you find yourself in everybody's business. That's what I was saying about last time. You find yourself in everybody's business and you can't control the mouth. That's where you're going to start finding yourself having more heart palpitation, heartache, because you're now defending people who actually didn't ask you to defend them. And in that space, what tends to happen is that people actually they say the same thing. They're just like, I didn't ask you to defend me, right? Because you're doing all the defending you're doing, and it robs you of all the energy that you can be putting into your relationship. Because then we see at the beginning of every episode her having a conversation about what someone's done, and and he and so then it's like negative energy that's always brought into the relationship about what someone has done. Do I think she's wrong for this? That for defending people? Not necessarily. It's just the way she's going about it. She needs to transform that. One thing that I want to commend Jamie on that I don't think anybody else has done is when she was called out, the way she handled it. Listen, I'm not Jamie's biggest fan. I don't like the way I don't like the way she does things. But I have to say, out of I can't remember any show where I've seen someone take that kind of accountability and was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. And even when they tried to give her an out, she said, no, 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 let me just be real. Yes, I knew I was wrong. I shouldn't have handled that way. Turned her whole body, apologized to Karina, because me, Anna told Karina you can go and do one. But she turned to Karina, apologized to Karina, said she's sorry. This is somebody who actually was now becoming aware of their own behaviors and realizing that as they were holding a particular standard, they slipped that standard and they were wrong. And so for me personally, I think that is amazing. I'm like, if I'm a man, that's what I wanted to hear for a very, like, if you're a man, we always joke around with women not being accountable. That was a level of accountability that I don't think I've seen any man or woman on a TV show literally show us in that immediate moment. You know what I'm saying? Too. So for that, I had to give her so much more points and so much credence in that fact that she was able to be accountable to that degree. And it just shows that the heart she has. Because I felt like the expert that was that woman, she was coming out a little bit too much. I needed her to pipe down a little bit because she was coming a little bit too much. The pretty one talking about that's not how a Mama Cub acts. You don't know Mama Cub because that's how Mama Cub gonna come at people.
Alejandra.
Yeah, I need you
Alejandra.
to chill. That's how Mama Cub be coming. If you try her cubs, she gonna come and collect everybody. Was she right, Jamie? No. So, I know she was trying to do a little bit of a little thing. I just, she probably should use another analogy. Don't use Mama Cub because a Mama Cub don't play about her cubs. Should just say, listen, if you are a Mama Cub, there's also a way to handle certain things. Not every situation requires you to be aggressive. There are times where you need to actually be chill. You know what I'm saying, Chu? And that's what she needed.
Well, I need Alejandra to go back to Animal Planet because mama bears do treat their cubs like this when it's time for them to leave. When they are grown up and they are no longer under mother's protection, mama chases them away. So it may not be mama cub when the cub is little, but this is definitely mama when the cub needs to go find its own territory in order to roam and live. Life is reality. What are you saying about Jamie, Dave? I definitely want to hear about your thoughts on Dave sitting there like, I can't believe my wife got me in this hot water again.
Yeah, listen, Jamie ain't no mama cub nothing, yeah? She just too fast up in people's business. She's too nosy. And she's too outspoken about other people's issues. That's not mama cub. Yeah. Um, I think yeah, Kojo's right. Every single episode, they're laying in bed talking about someone else's problems. Someone else did this, that, the other. I'm going to show her. And don't you think this would? And Dave is her biggest cheerleader. And this is why he's in the situation he's in. He's never shut it down once. He's never said, listen, babe, I get all of this stuff is happening around us, but it's me and you here. We're in the bed. Let's talk about me and you in the bed. What are you talking about other people for? He brought this on himself. Now he's a willing participant. Every time she's getting herself into these clashes or has something to say about someone else's team, he has to support her. And he's volunteered himself for that role. You know, if he wants a quieter life, they get on very well. They mesh very well from the start all the way through. Why are you inviting problems? That's what I'm saying today. Why are you inviting problems? Tell your girl, listen, I don't want to be pulled into all this side issues and all these distractions and stuff. I don't like going to the dinner parties and every day, where they're having to defend your position against something that someone else said. It's taken away from me and you. So that's what I'd say to Dave. Jamie, mind your own business. The reason why you're getting called out by the experts now, your friends are, so-called turning their back on you or going between you and the enemy and all this other stuff. It's because you got too much of this. Like, Rod, you chat too much. Yeah? Focus on your relationship. You're expending all this extra energy and all this extra time in other people's business. And at this stage, we've seen it every single episode. So it's not a one-off. It's not the odd clash. It's every single week. So it's like it's a targeted thing. You're not there to wrap your arms around everybody else in the group. I would have thought Marina would have had that energy because she's the she's the mother goose, right? That you could technically say that's a mother cub because of their age and experience and wisdom that's expected of her. Jamie, you're 28. Yeah, you're not a mother nothing. Your man is 8 years older than you. If anything, just focus on your relationship. You may consider yourself to be quite mature for your age, but act that way and focus on your relationship. Don't impose yourself and your thoughts and how you want people to carry themselves in their relationship. That's none of your business. Let them do their thing and you do yours.
And that may be it. And I don't think, that Jamie is seeing the toll it may take on Dave, or maybe, as Michelle says in the comments, maybe Dave thinks they shouldn't back down. Maybe Dave, is just, needs somebody to push the button, and he just like Jamie. Maybe he just needs to be activated, and Jamie's his activation. I don't necessarily see that, but I do see it filter out in other things that Dave does keep it going, even when he is not around Jamie. But it may be because he believes it. Just like he went to Clint, maybe he believes, hey, I need to give the dude a heads up. This is part of bro code. Hey, I need to say something. So my whole, thing with Dave is Dave needs to speak up for his own peace if it's peace that he wants. If Dave is about that life, then maybe we need to hear from him first about that life rather than hear it from his wife all the time. Maybe sometimes, hey Jamie, you set aside, continue looking pretty. I'ma speak up. You don't have to take on this mantle by yourself or take it on full steam ahead. Yes, Jamie's turnaround on the couch, absolutely beautiful. Because right before that, during Karina's, she was still going back and forth with Karina. She was still ready to go. And then she pulled the brakes up, listened, did an about face, and was like, okay, let me take this on. But again, Jamie is not seeing Dave ain't about that I love you. And if she looks at his back, Dave doesn't even look like he wants to even say anything in that manner at all. And what we do know in the previews, y'all, Next week, apparently, is the wife swap. It's where people exchange wives just for, a few days, and they give positive feedback. They're not supposed to act like they're married, but they're supposed to give each other feedback on their marriages and relationships. And apparently, there are a few marriages that get a huge fracture. And one of those marriages is Jamie and Dave. So I think we started seeing the cracks in that marriage. Now, is there anything else about the show you gentlemen wish to talk about? Anything we missed? If not, I hope everyone will continue to join us. Life is Reality comes here every week. He also does Ready to Love on Actually Aubrey podcast at 1 p.m. EST on Sundays. And Kojo, share with everyone, what are you working on? What we can come back later and see your super panel for Love is Blind.
Yeah. So at 5 p.m. EST, we're going to be Love is Blind super panel because it's just the weddings, so we can keep it nice and short. Obviously, I know at 9 p.m. EST, the next episode goes live reunion. So probably I might do a live watch or see how I'm feeling because I might be tired by then. Who knows? It's 9 p.m. It's going to be 1 a.m. in the morning. But yeah, definitely doing a 5 p.m. EST super panel. So please check in, and we'll definitely host you guys. And there'll be members in the chat again. I know someone's cussing me out for that, but don't worry about it. We're gonna be members again.
That means join the membership, y'all, if you wish to chat on Little Black Book 91. Thank you again. We will be here next week for week 7. It is the wife swap. So wife husband swap. So please, y'all know it's going to be entertaining to say the least. So again, 3:05 EST next week. Please join us. And during the week, I will be doing the Love is Blind recap and other international shows. And this last time, I was all dressed up for the wedding. So if you catch that episode 13 recap, I hope you'll get a good chuckle. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.